You want to just leave my computer up there?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you bring the microphone with you?
Yes.
Would you like me to take it?
You can stay up here with me if you want, and then just sit down.
Can I? That means
Yeah.
you guys, wait.
You guys will have no questions.
You can't ask any questions if I sit
right?
up here, right?
Okay. She's just gonna sit down because we switch in 25 minutes. So
You could go half an hour.
it's okay. I now only have 23 minutes.
You can go a half an hour.
Can you guys see my screen? Do you see it? You guys asked like it was like what? Okay, as long as you can see it. I figured you guys like walkthroughs, and I put everything in the slide. But as you guys were kind of asking questions, I wanted to walk through the website quickly, especially for our new people. But I wanted to show you guys where the supplemental AFR information and everything is. So are you good with walkthrough instead of slides? Okay.
Oh, she was very happy about
And like, just shout out something if I don't talk about it. But I want to go through it. I know I showed you guys around Gateway in May, but I really want to talk about our website because as we update things, the website's going to have the most up-to-date information. Okay, then that's where I want you guys to go. I want you guys to know how to find the stuff. So do I need to make it bigger or can you guys see it okay? Does it see it okay, look good? Okay. So whenever you guys log into to our website, the main screen will show the About Us, Ricky, the entities we examine. When you expand this is where you guys will find your counties page, okay? But before we go there, I want to show you guys, again, this is where the parts of the website I will talk about, this is where you access them, okay? So resource library, you can find that. Unauditable entities. Did you guys know that we have a screen for that? And so if we determine you unauditable, then you will be listed on the website for your entity name and the year, okay? And this is whenever we come in and we can't audit you, whether it's you guys don't have supporting documentation for your financial statements, there are issues, things like that. So yay, we don't have any, so that's great. And then we also talk about state called conference attendance. So you guys know when you sign in and scan the QR code, we use that to create the lists that go on our website, okay? Because it's not a shame on you list. It's a you came to conference list, okay? So this is someplace, and people, let's just say citizens, when they call, since it is statutorily required that you guys attend conference once every 2 years, I believe that's what it says, this is where they go to be like, hey, are they coming to a State Board of Accounts conference? Yes. So after you guys submit, I will accumulate, put only auditors, not everybody in the room, okay? So this is only for elected officials. So I will have all of the auditors listed on there with their name and county, not what day they attended, but you guys attended conference. So I will say that you guys were in attendance at our conference and you guys will go on the list, okay? So because that is statutorily required. So this is where you will find that information. Now I want to go to the county specific page. And then if you ever go, I don't know how to contact Stacy and Ricky. Hey, if you click this button, it'll make an email for you and you can just send us something, okay? I wanted to say love notes, but don't send us love notes. Send us questions. My brain was like, love notes. No, that's not it. You can tell us how great we did. We love to forward those emails on. Like when you guys send us emails without a question and you guys are like, thank you for going over that, or thank you for helping me. We always send it to Lori and we go, look how great we are. We do, because we're like, look, they like us. And so, especially if you guys say something bad, I'm like, we're not sending that to Lori, right? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But we don't ever get bad ones because you guys love us so much. But, so again, the county's page has all the links for every single office. So your guys's will be in the center right here. So this link will take you to the auditor's page. But before we do that, I want to kind of hit some of the other things that is a very good resource. Corrective action plans. Most of the time, you guys get those hard copy papers at exit on how to complete your CAPS. If you lose the papers, they're supposed to print you instructions and probably give you a copy of the corrective action plan, things like that. But if you lose the instructions on how to get there, just go to our website, expand the arrow under repeat findings. You can find all the information that you need. So guidelines, you can click here to submit a CAP. This is the same link in my presentation. So if you need to submit one, click this, it'll open. If you guys just want to look at a template, so if you guys can't find my PowerPoint presentation and you're like, what on earth is supposed to be in the CAP? You can click this, open it, and it will show you what a corrective action plan should entail and everything that you need. So you can kind of, every time I talk about corrective action plans, I like to tell people, plan it out because it is an online form. So sometimes it's easier to know what you need to put in there, write it all out, and then when you go to actually fill out the corrective action plan, you can just copy and paste. Because especially if you need to write out a detailed plan, because if you have a comment that encompasses a lot of things like your AFR, then maybe you need to have a detailed plan for all those areas in the AFR that we talked about earlier. Especially if your corrective action plan needs to deal with capital assets, leases, debts, ARAP, things like that, because you might do something differently for each area. So you just want to make sure it's as detailed as possible, but this is always a good thing to remember the templates there. Instructions. They're supposed to give you instructions at exit or send them to you, but you need to have, like, it just tells you how to do it. If you lose those, they're right here on the website, okay? And then the cap@sboa.in.gov, this is the email that they will be sending you communications from, okay? So again, it's not spam, it's an actual email address. So if you need to ask them a question, you can, or follow up on an item. Let's see. Let's scroll down. Our manuals is always a great reference. The state examiner directives have been moved. They're not, you have to click here and it'll take you to the page. It's in the resource library, but we wanted to put it under here because it's material, it's uniform compliance guidelines, and it's stuff that you need to follow. So all of those are on one page. The internal control standards that we talked about earlier, this is kind of like this one-stop shop for all of it, okay? It tells you the statutory compliance. It has a link to the manual, so if there's ever a time you want to do some light reading, you can open this and read to your heart's content on internal controls, okay? And I know a lot of you are going to do that. It's a good manual. I look at it from time to time. We have our generally accepted government auditing standards if you need some more light reading. I know sometimes it's slow in your office, so, you know, things like that. Okay, so your internal control policy and required certifications. So, again, we give you statutory guidance here, and then we have the training form. Sorry, this is being a little wonky. There we go. Oop, went too far. I'm used to a mouse, I'm sorry. Okay, you have your certification form. I can't remember if it's been updated or not. I don't feel like it has been, but again, this is a tool you guys can use to document when your individuals watch the internal control standards videos, and a link to, oh, it jumped. Go up a little higher. Okay, let me expand that. Go back down, scroll. Okay, here's a link to the new video. Exciting, you're all gonna go back. I think it's a shorter video. I don't think it's 26 minutes anymore. I think it's like 23. You're welcome. I saved you 3 minutes of your life you will get back. Okay, don't ever say we didn't do anything for you. Okay, oh, this is being super weird. Okay. Let's see, more internal control stuff. If you want to talk to Debbie Gibson, I'm pretty sure she's one of them that wrote the internal control standards manual. So if you ever have questions on it, Debbie will talk to you all about it, okay? And then we have our Form 7, which that's a form you guys get at during audit to talk about your internal controls, okay? So there's an example of that there. Since none of you read the bulletins, so disappointing. Actually, I did walk behind someone and they were reading them while they were here, and I was like, you know what, better late than never. It's great, okay? So if you want to go read them, here they are, 10 years worth. Again, more light reading for you guys. But the September bulletin, we did post that right before, October, I think. So September's available. You guys can look at that. This is an index. So this is good if you guys go, I need to know something about X. Okay, so let's just control find donations. Okay, so if you want to read any guidance that we have on donations, and you guys ask, I feel like that's a very common question that you guys do ask is regarding donations. We've written 2 bulletin articles. So 411-6, so the first 3 digits are the volume number, and 6 is the page number. So if you go there, you will find an article on donations. And then we have a more recent one in the September one, and we took away the volume numbers. So that's why I wanted to talk about how the index works, is because we took away the volume number, and so we just say the month, the year, so September 2025-12 on the 12th page. There's an article regarding donations. So again, this is a great, just if you guys want to know, most of the time in our bulletin articles, when we provide guidance, it's not just statute. So that's what I want to talk about the bulletins. They're not just statute. I'm not just copying and pasting and sending it out for you guys to read. Most of the time when we need to write additional guidance, it's because statute isn't clear. And we maybe need to clear something up, or you guys have asked a lot more questions and we need to give you additional information. Okay, so that's what the bulletins are doing. And we are working on updating our manual for auditors. Lori has rewritten the entire thing, and our bulletin articles will start to become guidance in our manuals, okay? So we're trying to get away from the bulletins and just put them in the manuals because it is guidance. It's our uniform compliance guidelines. It's how we would expect you guys to account for something, things like that. So our index is a great resource just to know where to start, because it will most of the time give you a statute and give you additional guidance on top of that. Most of the time from frequently asked questions. So let's scroll down a little bit. How many of you were like, man, I wish I would have printed the presentation and training materials? Oh, it's not on this page. But, just kidding, psych. They're on the auditors page. I thought I was there already, but I'm not. But there is a link that will take you to our YouTube channel. So if there's ever a time you just miss Ricky and I, you can go there and watch our recordings. You can listen to our voices, have a grand old time, okay? So we have, and on the page for counties, this is very general training, okay? It's not specific to you guys. Your guys' training materials will be on the auditors page. And let's see, another good one, best practices, because I can't talk enough about internal controls. If for some reason you have internal control deficiencies and you guys are like, I don't even know how to start evaluating them, this is a very good tool to use. So I'm just going to show you kind of what it looks like. So payroll activities. When you open this document, it is a questionnaire that will help you evaluate your processes and procedures over payroll. So again, when you guys have some downtime, or when you're doing your monitoring towards the end of the year, you're kind of looking, or maybe you're post-audit, and you say, I don't even know where to begin because my process looks fine. I maybe don't know how to fix it. If you go through this checklist and you kind of do the yes and no, it will help you see maybe if you're not doing something, it might help your brain go, okay, well, I'm not doing that. Like, for instance, maybe we're leaving, like, the first section over payroll activities is for the governing board. So what if we have a whole bunch of no's in this section? Okay, are we leaving someone out that possibly should be involved in the process? And it kind of makes you stop and think. It helps you evaluate where your risk could be and maybe what things you need to change or suggestions you might want to think about. So these questionnaires were designed by our internal audit area to help at the state level. But then they were like, these would be amazing for the local officials because the question is, where do I start? It's always, I don't know how to do this. Where do I start? So this is just a tool that, again, it's broken down by audit area. So you guys can kind of determine based off your comments, where do I need to start? Okay. Let's see. We're still on the county's page, not the auditors yet. Okay. Highway annual report. Ricky's always the one that reaches out to you guys, like when we don't have a highway report completed. She's like, hey, that's due. Can you get that in? I never do that. Okay, that's Ricky's job, and I'm like, ooh, that's yours. But she always is calling you guys because, again, we need to have it submitted, and people are always like, where do I find this information? Well, it's on the county's page. It's not on the auditor's page, okay? So it's on the general page. It gives you the statutory guidelines, and it gives you the Excel file, examples. A lot of the stuff is here that you're going to need. So is there any more that I need to say on that? Just that's where it is. Sometimes you guys are like, where's that Excel file? Because whenever it needs to be updated, Ricky works with LTAP to make sure that it's the Excel file, if it's updated, we have a current version on our website so you guys know where to find it, okay? Again, audit reports. You guys can go search the audit report database. Ricky was talking about under the AFR for the supplemental. So someone over here asked about where to find the supplemental Excel sheet, or yeah, the PDF version of it. The report is right here. If it opens. There we go. It's in Excel, so here's a copy of it if you cannot find a copy. And if you guys have questions, there are instructions on the website as well. But it's under that Gateway AFR section. That's where we put it. So if you guys need help finding it, here's the instructions document. Okay, let me go to your guys' specific page. Gotta go all the way to the top. Okay. Now on, oh look, there's our emails again. We just really want you guys to email us, okay? We're like, do they miss us? They should email us. Okay. Let's see. Ricky talked about this chart of accounts information. All of that's right there. I have the links in my slides, but if you want to find it, they're beautiful. Love them. I think this one printed on my desk. And so does Ricky, because I don't ever know statutes, so I need help. And the best thing is, if you're like, what's that fund called? You can be like, if I can spell, I swear I can. So if you're like, okay, I'm not seeing it off the bat, it's searchable. So that's the best thing. So if you don't even want to print it, you just want to save it to your desktop, you can search it. You can see, again, I just did MVH. So there's the restricted, and then there's unrestricted, 1176 and 1173. Again, great resource. Always pull up the statute, read it. Light reading, you know. Let's see. Something I'm working on for next year is the calendar of duties, and I know a lot of people like this. I will work on having this updated. This link is outdated, but I'm going to try and come up with a 2026 calendar of duties so you guys have an idea of what's due during the year, because I mean, I can't imagine coming into office and then being like, what do I have to do? Because there's so many agencies with reporting requirements and what's due. So I'm going to try and update that. A lot of you guys, so here's where your guys' manuals are. I don't know why that didn't open. Click. Why is it not working? I can't even open the little drop down. So you guys don't get a manual. None for you. I can't open it right now. I will talk to Abby about that. So we updated chapter 1 of our Uniform Compliance Manual, our Uniform Compliance Guidelines manual for short. But chapter 1, that's maybe why the link is not working, because it's updated and something happened. But chapter 1 has been updated. Chapter 1 of every single manual is the universal one. It's universal for counties, cities, towns, special districts, libraries, etc. It's where our general guidance goes if it applies to all political subdivisions, okay? So we have made updates to that under the record of hours worked. And so we will talk about it more in Q&As and go more in depth into that. We'll pull it up and kind of go through it so you guys can see it, but there has been some updates to the manual, so more reading. You're welcome. Okay, forms. How many of you are like form blah blah blah? I don't know what that looks like. Well, we have been working on a project, not Ricky and I, but our office has been working on a project to get the copies of the forms to you guys and make them available, okay? So on each specific county page, you will see forms that are specific to your office. Again, all of you have software systems. However, there is still a prescribed form. Your software system should be operating like the prescribed form does, collect that same information. However, remember, if you're thinking like, hey, I want to see if I can substitute the prescribed form with a new form, or you want to see what it looked like originally, this is a good place to go. And if it's not on our website, email Ricky and I. We can go and pull the original forms and make copies of them and send them to you. So this is an ongoing project, but it is available. Let's see. Oh, here's your guys' presentation and training materials. And I think I've uploaded everything. I even put the food and beverage on there that, surprise, we're doing right after this. I just didn't get to update it on the agenda. Because you want to know how that call went? Ricky called me and goes, did you talk about food and beverage? And I'm like, no. But I did all the work to redo the forms. And I was like, yeah, we already talked to them about that. No, we didn't. So Ricky was like, I got to throw together a presentation. So that's why we're kind of pivoting. But that presentation is on there if you did not print it yet, because I think I added it on Tuesday. So if you had already printed everything prior to Tuesday, my apologies. I just got it on there that day. And I will add another link so you guys have Tamitha and Fred's slides from the excise presentation for contacts, okay? I'll make sure that that gets on the website. So probably next Tuesday, go back and check if you want to print that excise one, but food and beverage is on here. So, and anytime we do a virtual conference, we will try and get the recording on here. The only one I don't think we have the recording for is May's. So the first day of quads, we realized that after our computers updated, we didn't have the software to clip it to make it fit into a small enough video. So we're still working on trying to get that to you guys. So that's the only one that we have recorded that's not available on the website. So we will try and do our best to get that on there. I'm trying to think. But it has years worth of training material. So if for some reason you're like, I want to go back and learn about this, look on here. You can find the material. Okay, I'm at 3:30. Would you like to do food and beverage?
Sure.
She's so excited.
So excited.
I can't even tell you what's in the presentation. I'm just kidding. It's a whole bunch of new forms. Okay, here, I'll switch to her. Thanks, guys. Ooh. Does anyone need the QR code? I know I'm annoying, but
Put it down there on your computer. And
someone's going to say, I didn't scan it. And I'm going to go, okay.
My 17-year-old's friends have found out that there are YouTube videos with his mother who says things to people. And so they like to go in and give them a really hard time, so my son's always like, Mom, can you take those down? And I'm like, Bud, I just can't. Sorry. So it's fun for me, just so you know. They also all join LinkedIn, his friends do, because they all take those college classes now, in class. And so Ball State and all of them be like, hey, get a LinkedIn account. So then I have a lot of 16 and 17-year-old kids, I don't want to say friend requesting me, but you know what I mean in LinkedIn. And I'm thinking, I don't think I want you guys to have access to everything. My kids are like, please say no, right? Please don't talk to them. All right. Okay, I'm just going to skip over Paul's real quickly. All right, we have got to touch on food and beverage. Okay, we touched on this 2 years ago when the legislation changed. This is important because everybody is looking at it. You hear about it at every legislative session. There have been some changes this year, and so we really need to go through it. Okay? The statute I want you to be familiar with right now is the one I have on the screen, right? 6-1.1-3018. We're going to go through this in-depthly, but as you guys, like in a half an hour, we're done and your association takes over, okay? So bear with me for 30 minutes, okay? All right. So this statute states that before March 1st of 2024 and before March 1st of every year thereafter, each local unit that imposes food and beverage tax under IC 69 shall provide a report to the State Board of Accounts. Okay? So we kind of talked about this, and we had set up a report at one point. We have enhanced this, and I will go through why and what everything that needs to be done. All right, so the things that you have to include is a consolidated financial statement, expenditure of the funds by the local unit, each local entity that received food and beverage from you, and every expenditure that they did, okay? And it's for the previous calendar year. As we keep going through the statute, B requires certain information to be included on this report. I'm not going to go through it because we're going to go through the form, okay? But B is what tells us what those reports have to have. As we continue down the statute into subsection C, it must be in the format that we prescribe, okay? So these are prescribed forms. Okay, so these are the format you're going to use. Does it mean that you can use an alternative? Yes, you can, and we'll go through what that looks like, okay? All right, the statute goes on, but I'm going to stop here and we're going to interject and start talking about the reports a little bit. So the first thing I need to do is I need to define what the establishing unit is and what the receiving unit is, because these are the words that we use on these reports. The establishing unit is the unit that is imposing the food and beverage tax, which is the counties. Okay? Yes, there's some others, but counties in particular. If you have established a food and beverage tax in your county, you are the establishing unit. Okay? The receiving unit is any local government entity or instrumentality that received food and beverage tax distribution from you. Right? So how many in here have food and beverage tax? How many of you guys give it to others? Okay, so the others you give it to, okay? All right, so some of these forms have just been, I said, expanded on a little bit. The first form is the consolidated financial statement. This form also will include some instructions along with the responsibility of the establishing unit in regards to what their revenue is and any unit receiving revenue in the county. Okay? This form number is 401B. They are available, and I'll show you where here shortly. This form, so if you're going to, when you do the consolidated financial statement, she'll have the fund name, the beginning balance of that fund, total receipts, total disbursements, and the ending balance. It must include not only the establishing units, it must also include a line item for each receiving unit. Okay? So even if yours is an in and out, right, you're going to show, let's say you receive it all and you just give it all out to somebody. As the county, you're going to show a balance of 0. You're going to show all of that coming in. You're going to show all of it coming out with an ending balance of 0. You still have to report what comes in through you. Okay. All right. this is a great place to say that if you are receiving food and beverage, it is required to be in its own separate fund. The fund number is a statutory fund number, which is 1157. All right. We know that some are putting it into general fund, but the statute is very clear that it should be separate, right? We don't want to put it and commingle it with other dollars. So if you don't have that fund set up, let's start working on towards getting that set up, okay? That fund should hold all of it and should distribute any of it. All right, so the first thing is a consolidated financial statement. That's just really a high end. I mean, technically, you're looking at like one line item or one line for establishing, and then one line for each receiving unit. Okay? Then we have to do Form 401C. Okay? This is a report of expenditures. 401C is only for the establishing unit, which would be you as the county. Okay, this form is going to include all dispersing transactions that you have. It needs to have the date, the check number, the payee, the amount, the purpose, right? It needs to be marked if it was used for salaries, and if it was used for capital projects, we need a description of what that is. But this would only be used for what you use it for, okay? And maybe you give it all away and it's one transaction. Okay, so it shows that it came, or it shows that you wrote one check out to whoever, okay, and you'll have that. So the 401C is expenditures just for the establishing unit. Okay, I know I'm jumping around. This is kind of the way it was kind of organized. Now, you also have to do a 401A, okay? This is what we're calling a tax certification. So you fill out this form that says these are the receiving units we are giving food and beverage tax to. All right, so it should include the name of the receiving unit and any ordinances that you have that go with that, if applicable. Okay, so you can put just the number of the ordinance there, right? So 2025-1, I don't know, whatever your ordinance number is. And then you will certify that list. This is important as we kind of get going into some of the results. We need to make sure that we are getting all information from anyone getting food and beverage dollars. Okay? And this is you certifying to us that you have reported everybody that was required to be reported. Okay? All right, we also have a 401D. And this is only for the receiving unit. It looks just like the 401B for the establishing unit, okay? You are going to do this. It's a list of transactions for each receiving unit. Don't mix them all up, okay? So each receiving unit will have their own list of expenses, okay, and transactions. You may have to get with them to get the information, right, because you don't have their ledger. So as you're giving them food and beverage, there should be some sort of agreement that you have in place, and they need to report to you that information. The whole idea is if they're not willing to report to you what they're spending it on, then maybe they shouldn't have the tax money. Okay? Okay. So there is this other certification here, and this is if you wanted to use an alternative form to the expenditures, right? So if let's say you work with this like big, I don't know, authority of some kind who's getting it, right? And they have their own system and they can print you a transaction report that includes all the information that's required. You can submit that as a PDF document in the place of this prescribed form. It has to have all the same stuff though, okay? And if you do that, then we have this form that you are certifying that it has all the same information, okay? And that it's basically what they gave you is the correct information and it has everything that is needed, and you upload that form with that PDF, okay? Flip a page. Okay. I know that those are all the new forms. I know that's a lot. But as we continue through the statute, it also says that these are going to be uploaded to Gateway. All right, so Stacy actually designed what the new Gateway is going to look like. It has not been updated quite yet. I think I saw a message that it's supposed to be being done Monday or Friday or right around here soon, so you should be able to see it in the next week or two, okay, of what it actually looks like. Right now, I just put what it currently looks like, okay, that's up there. But there's going to be an expanded, all these forms are linked on that Gateway, okay? So when you go into Gateway, if you look on the left-hand side here, there is a food and beverage tax form certified tool or upload tool. Click on that. When the new one opens, all these forms will be listed, and they will tell you what forms go with what. I don't expect you to remember all of them as we're here, but it will have a link to the form. It'll tell you what it does. There's instructions to each of them, okay? And then you'll have the upload tool that you'll be able to upload. It should be out, again, you know, I said within this next week or two. I think, to be honest, this one wasn't listed specifically in that message, but it did say Gateway, so I assumed. I might be wrong, okay? Just saying. All right. The statute does go on to talk about some exceptions. So I just left the statute here, but let's break down what those exceptions are to this. All right. So, food and beverage tax collected under these statutes, which will affect Marion County, Boone, Johnson, Hamilton, Hancock, Henry, Hendricks, Morgan, and Shelby, and Allen County. You are the only ones that have an exception. The exception is you do not have to report any of the dollars, okay, that you distributed to a capital improvement board, right? You still have to report yours that you brought in, okay? And you still have to report it if you gave it to anyone else. Some of you don't. Some of you, it comes in, it goes straight to that capital improvement board. You don't have to do the capital improvement board, but you have to show what came in and out of yours, okay? Of yours, but then you're done, right? If they get 100% of it in those counties, then you're done. You just show yours and you're done. But there are counties that give both to a capital improvement board and to others, and they keep some themselves, okay? The only exception for those counties here is what you give to the capital improvement board. You do not have to report that. Anything else is reported. Is there any questions on that? Okay. Here's why this all kind of comes into play. There was a new statute that came out in this legislation session, and it required us to audit everything that was uploaded into Gateway when this first came out for the March 2024, okay? So Stacy and I luckily didn't have to do the audit, although there was a moment where we were like, no. That we did get another group to come in and take that over for us. We were required to audit it and to compile and submit a report to the Legislative Council by October 1st, okay? And we did, and that report was almost 30 pages long by the time it was done. As they were rolling through it, we had quite a few errors that are through. I don't have that report, and I don't even know if that's a public report that's anywhere. That was a question we had on Monday, and I still don't have it answered. But if I figure it out, or if it is public, I will let you guys know where it is. All right. So the biggest thing that they had is that the reports were not filed by every establishing unit. Okay. This was confused on a couple. I don't want to call anybody out, but I kind of want to call you out because you have a unique circumstance. So Delaware County, I'm going to call you out. They are unique because they don't actually receive the food and beverage money through their county. The state actually gives the Civic Center Authority, get yours, right? Right. So that food and beverage goes directly to that, right? But you still have to report because it's still your dollars. Yeah. Well, she'll get that part for it too, but as we move forward, yes. You will eventually from here on out. Okay? So some of those things, because they didn't receive it, they thought, well, and I get that, right? It never came through me, so why am I going to report it? So there were things like that when this was made, I don't think anybody thought about. And so we're looking at these reports, and so I expect there might be some legislative changes that do occur throughout here. So we are going to emphasize, there were probably other counties that got a phone call from somebody from our office about this. Is anybody else willing to put their hand up that they didn't get it? Yeah, there were several. Okay, so we want to make sure that everybody who enacted the tax is reporting the dollars. All right, we are also reviewing everything that comes through to see if they are being used for the statutory purpose. Remember I said it was a statutory fund. If it's a statutory fund, it means everything is dictated in statute, right? So the revenue, how you're getting the revenue, and how you use the revenue, okay? So we audited against that. Food and beverage, which is in the innkeeper's tax. Innkeepers and food and beverage are in the same little statute thing. While innkeeper's tax is kind of complicated because you can have your one-off thing and everybody does it separately, they at least have a uniform area for innkeepers. There is no uniform for food and beverage tax. Okay, so everybody kind of has their own thing and we have to kind of go over. So if you don't know what that's supposed to be used for, go to the statute. Okay, as you're giving those dollars to your receiving units, they should be using them for the same purpose. That's in statute, okay? Just because it's going to them away from you does not mean they get extended use of it, okay? It is statutory. So we looked at all of those kinds of things. We also looked through and pulled financial reports from either the county or the receiving units and compared what was being reported to what you had in your financials, and we found lots of discrepancies in between, right? So and it was both ways. So either we reported way more dollars than what's actually flowing through your financial, or vice versa. You reported less than what? All right. And the last one that we found was, again, that the food and beverage was being commingled with other funds. So some were putting it in general fund, and then they can't distinguish. They can tell you how much they put in there, but you can't distinguish what was spent that it was actually food and beverage because you've put it in with another fund. Okay, you've commingled those dollars. We can't clear that out. So those were the main findings that came out. We did get this report in on time. And I don't know if there's been any response from it at this point, but there's lots of questions surrounding this report. This was like the hot topic for like 6 months, okay, in our office. And how this food and beverage has been on the legislation for the last 3 to 4 years. It is not going anywhere. Okay, they want to know how it's being spent, and they should know, right? If we're going to collect tax dollars from our citizens, from our businesses, innkeeper's tax, any kind of tax that you're collecting, we should be able to be transparent in where that money goes, right? That's how we get people to support us, because it's being used for its statutory purpose. So it's important that we're reporting these, okay, and that they're being accurately reflected within your financial statements as well. All right, these are my big takeaways from it, all right? As the establishing unit, and it typically is going to be the auditor, you are the one who's required to file the report, okay? So it falls onto you guys. You are also the one who is reporting the receiving unit information. You report it all. They don't report it, you report it, okay? Again, the only exception is the CIBs. If you don't know if you have an exception, or if you don't understand the exception, you're one of those counties, come find me and we'll talk it through, okay? The report is due to be uploaded in Gateway March 1st. So make sure you make that deadline. All right. And get all your food and beverage into one fund. Okay, let's not commingle it with others, so create that statutory fund for 1157 and make sure it's used for the statutory purpose. At this point in time, the new statute that required us to audit it and submit a report by October 1st was only for this year. I don't know if they're going to put legislation that's going to extend it for next year. If I was going to guess, I'm going to say it will, right? Just because that's been the question. What is it being used for? Where is it going, right? I mean, you hear a lot of noise about it. And if you ever look as the legislation starts, there's numerous bills that will include food and beverage, okay? So let's, if you have questions as you get forward, especially as you're doing your AFR, because you're going to have due dates about the same time, right? I would start trying to gather that information as soon as possible. And if you have questions, Stacy or I, there you are, will be available to answer any of them as you're moving forward. Do you have any questions on food and beverage? I got one right over here and one right over there.
Should have got that one first.
And I drank all my water. Yeah, I did. That's okay. I've only got a few minutes.
Are all the forms due by March 1st?
Yes. Yes. All the way over Delaware County, Tanya.
Gosh, Tanya, I was already over there. Just kidding. Yeah, don't trip me. Gosh.
I just want to be clear. Am I considered a CIB?
No.
Okay. So with the reporting, I know I have to get the expenditure report from them, but we are going to do the reporting
Yes.
versus them.
Yes.
So therefore, we upload it to the gateway.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to be needing more communication with them probably.
Yes.
Okay.
I figured you guys were going to blow up. Oh, there's one all the way in the back. I figured you guys were going to blow up with lots of questions.
You took your hand down. Did you really have a question? Okay.
Okay, so we just implemented food and beverage. So question is, some of the commissioners and council, they were talking about maybe giving some of that to economic development, but 3 of them are on that board.
Okay.
Would they need to do like a conflict of interest?
So is your economic a separate not-for-profit, or is your economic part of your county?
I think they're separate.
So if they're like a not-for-profit, okay, even if your commissioners are still part of it, you just have to have an agreement in order to give that. There's not really I don't think it would qualify as a conflict of interest because it's the unit. They're not personally getting that benefit. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But if it's the same, then you don't need any of it because it's just the county using it.
Good, one less thing.
One less thing, I know, right? Anybody else have any other questions? Wow. 5 minutes early.
Go us.
I know. Okay. So we're going to turn you over to the association if they want to make their way up here as we go forward. We will see you tomorrow morning. To finish off the session, we have lots of great information for you tomorrow morning. We do intend to come and see the magic show this evening, so we are pretty excited about that. I think I'm going to go buy some new high heels because mine are killing my feet at the moment. But we will see you guys this evening, and we hope you have a great night.